Ever feel like you've, finally reached the summit, you've hit that huge milestone, the product launch, nailed it, maybe you got that big promotion you worked so hard for.
Yeah, that feeling of accomplishment. It's
Right.
powerful.
Totally. But then, even with all that success, maybe there's still this nagging sense, like something important is hiding just out of view.
That feeling, it's more than just being tired or having a bit of imposter syndrome kicking in. It's actually, well, it's a specific side effect of achieving things.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so today we're doing a deep dive into something called the paradox of vision. The research we've looked at, it shows that the very strategies and successes that got you to where you are, they can actually create what we're calling successful blind spots.
Successful blind spot.
Exactly. These hidden areas, weaknesses, or outdated approaches that are perfectly positioned to trip you up later on, especially if you don't actively look for them.
Right. So our mission today, it's pretty clear then, we need to figure out how to get and keep that kind of perpetual insight. And this isn't just about, the stuff you obviously don't know. That's the easy part, almost.
Right.
The really tricky thing, the paradox, is exploring what you can't see precisely because you've been successful.
Because the success itself is obscuring your view.
Yes. We want to unlock how you make sure that your current winning formula doesn't accidentally become like the cage for your future potential.
And to really get into that, we first have to acknowledge just how, well, intoxicating it feels to hit a major goal.
Oh, yeah.
Landing a huge deal, watching your project take off. It feels amazing. It feels like you finally cracked the code, right?
Definitely. Like, this is it. This is the way.
And that's exactly where the danger starts creeping in, at that feeling of absolute confirmation.
Because you proved yourself right. So the logic is, why on earth would you change a winning game?
Precisely. Success acts like a powerful filter. It narrows your focus, sometimes dramatically so.
Until you can only really see the path you just walked.
You got it. You're either celebrating that path or just busy repeating the steps that worked before. And you become, well, intellectually rigid.
You're rigid.
And that rigidity leads straight into this really dangerous assumption that the strategies, the tools, the whole mindset that got you here will automatically get you there.
Wherever there is next.
Right. Even if there requires a totally different approach, because the landscape, the market, the tech, something has changed. And that belief, that's the absolute seed of complacency.
Wow. So success doesn't just bring rewards, it brings rigidity, which then acts as a shield for these successful blind spots.
Exactly. It protects them.
Can you maybe walk us through an example, make it a bit more concrete how that mechanism works?
Okay, let's think about, say, a product manager. Version 1.0 of their product was a massive hit.
Okay.
They launched it using, let's say, a very lean approach, maybe specific limited marketing channels, perhaps an outsourced tech team to keep costs down initially.
Makes sense for a V1 show.
Totally. And it worked. Wildly successful. Now, the blind spot isn't that they don't know about other marketing channels or that they don't understand the value of an in-house team eventually.
So what is it then?
It's the outdated assumption that the minimal spend in the external team that worked for V1.0 will somehow be sufficient for scaling up to V2.0, V3.0, and beyond.
Ah, I see. The initial success makes them stick with the initial setup for too long.
Exactly. The success of 1.0 provides this insulation because the current numbers look good, right? The P&L is great.
So nobody asks the hard questions.
Nobody questions the underlying assumptions about, say, infrastructure capacity needed for 10x the users, or the strategic importance of building long-term technical talent in-house for the next phase. The success itself is the shield.
It becomes the great protector of a potential weakness. The flaw doesn't get exposed because the results right now are positive. Yeah, that's quite insidious, actually.
It's incredibly subtle. And these aren't like intentional mistakes people are making.
No, of course not.
They grow organically. Often they disguise themselves as, proven methods. Or worse, that really dangerous phrase, the way we've always done it.
Yeah, that one's a killer.
It really is. If the metrics are green, the process gets reinforced. It doesn't matter how brittle or inefficient or, frankly, outdated that process might secretly be compared to what a competitor is already doing.
The past success just keeps whispering, don't worry about it. Keep going. It works.
You nailed it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Okay, that makes total sense. And once those blind spots are kind of cemented in place and protected by recent success, we hit the next big hurdle, right? The psychological side of it.
Yeah, the social barriers, too. What you called the echo chamber of affirmation.
Right. Tell us about that.
Well, think about it. When you achieve something significant, your environment often shifts. People naturally tend to affirm your decisions, especially the ones that led to the success.
You get surrounded by positive reinforcement.
Yes. The classic yes men scenario, whether they're actual subordinates or maybe clients who are happy, or even just friends who admire your success, this whole social structure becomes really, really good at filtering out critical feedback,
It keeps the uncomfortable truths away.
often before they even get close to the person at the top who needs to hear them.
Okay, that sounds nice and comfortable on one level, but obviously incredibly dangerous for staying grounded in reality.
Hugely dangerous.
But let me push back a bit here, play devil's advocate for a second, because a skeptical listener might be thinking, hang on, if I'm the leader, if I'm the one who made the risky call that paid off big time, the one who was right when others maybe doubted me,
Mm.
isn't it kind of my job to trust my gut, to filter out what might just be noise or, fear from people who maybe don't see the big picture like I do? Why should I go looking for opinions from people with maybe less experience?
That's a really, really important question, and it gets right to the heart of it. The answer, I think, lies in understanding the shelf life of your specific expertise and your past correct decisions. Your past success proves your vision was correct for that time, that context.
Right, for the past.
But it says absolutely nothing definitive about your ability to adapt to the future. When you're leading, that critical feedback you might filter out. It isn't really about judging your past wins.
What is it about then?
It's about providing peripheral vision. It's about spotting the changes on the horizon that you might miss because you're so focused straight ahead on replicating the last success.
So even if you were right 9 times in a row,
That 10th time, when the environment has fundamentally shifted in a way you haven't clocked yet, that could be the one where sticking to your proven gut feeling leads to a major collapse. The feedback you dismissed as noise might have been the crucial signal.
okay, I get that. So the comfort zone, sticking strictly within our established expertise where we feel like the undisputed champ, that comfort, is actively working against future growth.
Absolutely undermining it. We prefer the sort of intellectual ease of repeating what worked over the cognitive friction of learning something new or admitting we might be wrong this time.
It feels harder mentally to challenge our own success.
It is harder. We are, neurologically wired to seek comfort and avoid difficulty, engaging with uncomfortable truths, tackling new kinds of challenges, even just admitting, I need to learn this new thing. It all requires effort, friction.
And success naturally tries to smooth things out, remove that friction.
Precisely. So if you only surround yourself with people who echo back your successful strategy,
Yeah.
you basically guarantee that the fatal flaw, the one thing maybe everyone else is starting to see, but you will remain invisible to you.
Until it's too late.
It's like an intellectual tax you have to willingly pay to stay relevant and resilient. The tax of seeking out and listening to dissent.
That framing, the intellectual tact, makes it really clear. We have to shift our mindset here from passively maybe defending against criticism to actively hunting for our own weaknesses.
Yes, hunting. I like that.
Stop waiting for the market or a crisis to slap us in the face and expose the blind spot. We need to introduce that productive friction ourselves, intentionally.
That's the key. Proactive friction.
Okay, so let's pivot now. Let's get practical. What are the specific actionable things people can do? Methods to actually guarantee that continued growth and avoid those hitting pitfalls.
Right, moving from the what to the how, this definitely requires discipline. It's not just theory, it's about implementation.
So first step.
The first key step, I'd say, is implementing rigorous, regular self-audits. And I mean, going beyond just a standard performance review.
Okay, what does that look like?
It means systematically questioning the foundational assumptions that your current success is built on. You have to ask the tough questions like, if I were starting this whole project or this company from scratch today, knowing what I know now, would I still choose this technology?
Or would I still prioritize this specific market segment?
Exactly. Or is this organizational structure still the right one for where we need to go next?
Most successful people, let's be honest, probably spend 90% of their time executing the current winning strategy.
And maybe 10% thinking about the future, if that.
Right. That ratio needs to be constantly challenged. You need to consciously carve out more time and mental energy for exploration, for questioning the status quo, even when the status quo feels great.
So the audit isn't just checking if the machine is running smoothly, it's checking if you've built the right machine for the next race.
Beautifully put. Is it still relevant? That's the core question.
Okay, self-audits, what's next?
Second crucial method.
Yeah.
actively, deliberately seeking out diverse perspectives. And this is way more than just, casual networking coffee
How
chats.
so?
It means maybe institutionalizing things like reverse mentorships, have junior team members who maybe see the world differently or use different tools, review senior level strategies, specifically looking for outdated assumptions or methods.
That could be powerful. Challenging, too. Definitely challenging. Or implementing cross-functional swaps. Let a sales leader shadow the engineering team for a week, or have someone from finance sit in on the creative process reviews.
Getting people out of their silos.
Exactly. Success often happens within a specific silo, right? But insight, real breakthrough insight, often sparks at the intersections of different fields, different viewpoints. You need to intentionally bring together people whose daily priorities and perspectives fundamentally challenge your own.
That's a tough one, though. Seeking out criticism, even if it's constructive. A
Mm.
lot of people, maybe unconsciously, conflate criticism of their process or strategy with criticism of them personally.
That's absolutely true. It's a huge barrier.
So how do you build an environment where that constructive friction can actually happen, where criticism lands usefully instead of just making everyone defensive or damaging morale?
It really has to start at the top, with the leader demonstrating genuine intellectual humility. Meaning, if you, as the successful leader, can't openly talk about a time when you were wrong, or when someone with less formal authority pointed out a flaw in your thinking and actually saved the day, then your team will never truly believe you welcome dissent. They'll just see it as a trap.
Walk the talk, essentially.
You have to. And you need to consciously work on separating the idea from the ego, both your own ego and helping your teams separate theirs. When criticism comes in, the internal dialogue needs to shift.
From, are they attacking me?
Exactly. Shift from that to, okay, hang on. Is there even just 10% of truth in this feedback that I really need to consider, something I can use to improve the outcome? The goal isn't about being right all the time. The goal is about getting it right in the end.
That's a critical distinction. Focusing on the outcome, not the ego.
Okay, which brings us to what I think was maybe the most potent practical tool we found in the source material.
You mean the pre-mortem.
Yes, the pre-mortem approach. Tell us about that. It sounds powerful.
It really is. I think it's an organizational superpower, honestly.
Yeah.
We all know about postmortems, right? Yeah, after something's gone wrong, you figure out why.
Exactly. After the disaster strikes, you dissect the failure. The pre-mortem flips that entirely. It forces you to use the idea of failure as a planning tool before anything has gone wrong.
Okay. Walk us through how that actually works. How do you do a pre-mortem?
Right. So you get your team together, and crucially, you should include your most thoughtful, maybe even your most skeptical members, people who aren't afraid to voice concern.
Got it. The non-yes men.
Definitely. And you start with this prompt. Imagine it's, say, 3 years from now. And this project, this thing we're currently succeeding at or about to launch has failed. Not just missed targets slightly, but failed catastrophically. It's a total unmitigated disaster.
Ouch. Okay, starting grim.
Starting grim, but intentionally so. Then you ask the team, okay, it failed. Let's write the press release announcing the failure. What happened? What were the top 3, maybe 5 key reasons why it collapsed?
So you work backward from the imagined failure.
Exactly. By mentally projecting yourselves into that future failure point, you bypass a lot of the psychological roadblocks we talked about, the optimism bias, the confirmation bias that protects your current plan. It forces everyone to actively look for the potential structural weak points, the hidden risks right now, before they become reality.
Wow, that completely reframes the planning process. Instead of just asking, how do we make this succeed? You're forcing yourself to ask, what hidden assumptions or external factors could absolutely kill this?
Precisely. And then you work backward from those potential killers to mitigate those risks before you even start scaling up or fully committing.
It's like you're deliberately stress testing your success plan using the focused imagination of failure.
That's a great way to put it. And doing this regularly creates that powerful mindset shift we need.
Back to that beginner's mindset.
Yeah, adopting that curiosity over certainty. But the pre-mortem anchors it in very specific, actionable risk assessment. It makes the hunt for blind spots concrete.
And reminds everyone that true success, sustainable success, isn't really a destination you arrive at, is it?
Not at all. It's a continuous process, a commitment to learning, adapting, questioning. The moment you let your previous peak achievement become rigid, become the way, well, that peak just turns into the ceiling that eventually limits you, or maybe even collapses on you when the next big shift happens.
What really stands out from this whole deep dive is that the real competitive advantage today, in almost any field, it doesn't necessarily go to the person or the company that scored the biggest initial win.
No, not necessarily long term.
It seems like the advantage goes to those who build the capacity to actively seek out and address their own successful blind spots. They're building a system for perpetual resilience, not just celebrating a past victory.
That's absolutely right. The foundation for sustained excellence, it really demands embracing that intellectual humility we discussed and, frankly, accepting the psychological discomfort that comes with constant self-scrutiny and seeking out challenging feedback.
It's the price of admission for keeping your vision sharp, baby.
That's exactly the price. Keeping the vision sharp requires paying that tax of discomfort. The instant you start believing your current success makes you bulletproof, that's the moment you've effectively blinded yourself to the next reality heading your way.
That is definitely a truth worth wrestling with. So, a final thought for everyone listening. As you go about your week, maybe ask yourself this question.
Hmm.
What proven method, what winning habit, what cornerstone of your current success are you relying on right now that might, just might, be secretly insulating a dangerous weakness? And maybe who is the one person, maybe that slightly difficult person, that skeptical voice you need to have an honest conversation with this week to find out?
Go find what you currently can't see. That's the challenge.